I don't really know what to think about the holidays this year. Part of me was looking forward to it, but I feel sort of detached from the whole thing for some reason. Maybe it's because even though this year sucked, I still don't like the thought of another year being over. Maybe it's because even though I don't dislike the idea of Christmas, I really don't like what it has become. Maybe it's because I see all over the place holiday paraphernalia that looks like this, but everyone on the bus coming home from holiday shopping looks like this. Maybe it's because a couple of years ago I had been talking to my mom about the way my family did Christmas when me and my brother were little kids and my folks were young parents. Anyway, so my mom and I did the tree like we used to and cooked the food that we used to. But then when we all sat down for dinner, the old spread only served to accentuate the fact that my brother and I were no longer little kids and my folks were no longer young parents. Maybe it's because even though I'm okay with Christmas music when it's sung by a choir of children, I have somehow grown to dislike it immensely in every other instance. I'm not sure what blasting Christmas music in stores does for most people, but for me, it actually makes me want to leave the store as fast as I can, as opposed to wanting to stay and whip out my credit card. It's not very often that I hear other people say that they also hate Christmas music, but I have a funny feeling that the numbers are large enough for us to be considered a demographic. Maybe it's because of all the talk this year about how awful it was that stores were opening for holiday shopping on Thanksgiving night. I more or less agree with this sentiment, but if you think about it, stores would not be open if they didn't know full well that there were a lot of people who would be more happy to wait outside for a store to open than they'd be hanging around at home with their families. My theory about it is this. I think America has gotten to the point where we feel like it's less of a hassle to buy shit for our loved ones than it is to actually hang out and talk to them. I figure any family who blew off Thanksgiving dinner to go shopping would have just been hanging around the table texting each other to pass the gravy anyway. Maybe it's because even though I know Christmas movies are supposed to warm my cold heart, at best they hardly melt even one cube in my ice bucket. Maybe that's because I get really annoyed when I feel like I'm being emotionally manipulated, and holiday movies generally lay it on pretty thick. One year I couldn't go home for the holidays and spent Christmas Eve in the laundromat. There was this Rob Lowe movie on the television called The Christmas Shoes, and the doe-eyed little kid with a dying mother said something like, "I need $40 to buy Christmas shoes so Mommy will look pretty in heaven." I'll never forget this because I yelled at the screen, "Aw, fuck you!" which woke up the only other person in the laundry, a drunk who was passed out on the couch. I have one last story from when my best laid plans of doom and gloom didn't work out at all. A few years ago, my girlfriend at the time was over my place, and we were having drinks, and she asked, "So, when are you getting a tree?" And I said, "Blah, blah, blah, commercialization of Christmas, blah, blah, blah." And she said, "You're not getting a tree?" And I said, "Blah, blah, corporate holiday manipulation, blah, blah, blah." And she said, "No." And I said, "Blah?" And she said, "This is what's going to happen. You're going to finish your drink, and then we're going to go out and get a tree. Got it?" And I said, "Blah, blah." So we did. There was a snowstorm that night, and so we slipped and slid while we walked over to the tree lot, picked out a little $15 tree, fell over a bunch of times in the snow getting the thing home, and then set it up in my apartment. Despite my intentions, it was actually kind of excellent. So anyway, I don't know quite what to think. I'm well aware that there are no Christmas carols that go, "'Tis the season to get fucked up and go buy a tree," but it does appear that the less attention I pay to how Christmas is supposed to be, the better it all seems to work out.